Wednesday. It's good to have you with us. We're live streaming on Facebook right now here at Ken and Deb in the morning. And Jeremy Jones and I are hanging out at the studios. Ken is off today. He is doing some haying or whatever they call him, bringing in the hay. Bringing
Haying?
in the hay, bringing in the hay. He will come rejoice. And you know him. So he's off today. He'll be back tomorrow, and we'll be back to our regular crew here at the morning show. But glad to have you along as we go through another hour and celebrate good neighbors. We're doing that all this week. And if you want to give a shout out to your good neighbor, maybe you have a good neighbor story. Your neighbor did something really meaningful for you, and you just want to share the story with others. You can do that on our Facebook, not Facebook page, but on our website, and then possibly win some really cool prizes.
Yeah, there's the grand prize is an Apple iPad and an Amazon Echo Dot with the thought that you would gift one of those to the neighbor whose story you stole.
Yeah, to bless them. And so if you want to share that story, just text neighbor to our phone number 800-221-9356, and you'll have the direct link to the place where you can share your story and enter to win. And we just want to thank our partner Christian Healthcare Ministry for those prizes, and they've been a good neighbor for nearly 40 years. So if you want to enter that contest, once again, just text neighbor, which is NEIGHBOR, to 800-221-9356. Let's get started with some great music this morning. Here's Johnny Diaz with More Beautiful You. So it's going to be a hot one today. It's going to be so hot that the chickens are laying hard-boiled eggs. Ba-dum-bum. Or the hens are picking up their worms with potholders. I don't know. These are not mine, obviously. But if you want to put below, it's so hot that, I mean, we could have some fun with that this morning. Just be sure to stay cool and drink plenty of water. And if you're feeling yourself flushed or feeling nauseated, or just don't get overheated, go inside and find places to cool off. Not sure about the different places that cooling centers in the Quad Cities, but I know Christian Care often is open throughout the day for people to come in and cool off. Hey, Heidi and Dave, glad to have you with us this morning. Excuse me, I almost started coughing and got something in my throat. It's all that coffee and not enough water. That happens. So also we're talking about your neighborhood. Like, what do you love about your neighborhood?
Right. And I know yesterday or the day before I was talking about the neighborhood I grew up in LeClaire. And it was in just this nice little drive where there were a bunch of kids my age and families. And I mean, because it was a drive, you didn't generally have a lot of cars coming through that didn't need to be there. And so it was a really nice place to grow up. Now I live like along a road where people go like, well, the limit's 35, but they're going excess of that.
Right,
So,
right. There's a difference there. I mean, we used to live in a neighborhood that was kind of like that too, Jeremy, and then we moved to where we are today. But thankfully, people have to turn off of our street. At the end, it kind of turns. So they do usually slow down.
usually.
If they don't, there's a problem. But yeah, so it's not it's not a neighborhood as far as having people across from us. We only have people side to side, and on the other side we have an alley. But I love looking out in the morning in my neighborhood and seeing the ravine that's in front of me, and just sitting there and looking at the trees and the squirrels and stuff. So that's something I love about my neighborhood. Like watching people walk by with walking their dogs or. But how about you? What do you love about your neighborhood? Something that's close to me that I enjoyed yesterday was seeing the community gardens that are near our house. So people in Silvis, use a plot of land and they garden that plot. And at this time of the year, it's just bountiful
So
with all different, each person gets a little square.
okay, so
Yeah.
everyone gets a little square and then it just joins together. And,
Yeah.
Oh,
But when at this time of the year, when it's such a good year like this, I mean, the corn is growing, everything's green and bountiful. It just reminds you of God's bounty, and
Right.
it's fun to walk by.
We are coming back.
That is Johnny Diaz with More Beautiful You here at Moody Radio Quad Cities. It's the mid-morning coffee break on Facebook, so if you want to catch us there, Jeremy Jones and I are here. And I hate when I have to move, Jeremy. I'm just saying.
Oh, because I moved you over to...
Yeah. I have problems with moving.
I mean, if you wanted to be solo on camera, we could have done that.
No. I'd rather have you with me. For you, I will move.
Oh.
But, that's probably why I've stayed in one place in my neighborhood for so many years. It's just so tough to move. But what do you love about your neighborhood? We are celebrating Good Neighbors all this week. So maybe there's something special in your neighborhood that you want to let us know about. When you look out the window in the morning, are you just so glad that you see?
Dave said that they live across the street, I believe, from a lake.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So they've got a lake across the street from them.
Ooh, that's nice. What a view.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
I love that. How about you? Maybe you have a, what do you call it? Birdhouse or something like that. You like to sit and watch the birds?
I was at my aunt's a couple of weeks ago, and she had they've got like a bird setup, and there were cardinals, goldfinches, woodpecker. I mean, it was, I don't even know the word, but it was a nice mix of birds coming and squirrels trying to find their way up there. It was a nice little setup just outside their house.
It's so peaceful watching birds. They don't seem to have a care in the world. It's not like they're worried, like, I gotta find my worm or whatever. They're just, they're peaceful.
It's like the sparrows,
right?
God takes care of them.
That's right. So we want to know what you see outside your front window this morning. What do you love about your neighborhood? 800-221-9356. I like that. We have a really nice tree that has a lot of birds in it. The birds are attracted to it because they have little berries.
Oh, okay.
And so sometimes when I'm sitting in the kitchen, love watching them. But love to hear what you have that around your neighborhood that you love. Lori, thanks so much for joining us, and just like having you with us this morning as we go through our mid-morning show coffee break. Also, what do you talk about with your neighbors? That's another thing. Like, what are some conversation starters with your neighbors?
I know that we have a creek that runs alongside our house, and it goes under the road into the neighbor's yard, and then it empties into a bigger creek that's across the road. And so anytime there's a lot of rain, it'll bring out the neighbor because he'll be checking, because the creek actually goes under his yard, and so he'll be checking to make sure nothing washed away or that. And so that becomes a topic of conversation where we live.
Yeah, I think the top topic probably today will be the weather. I think if you see your neighbor, don't you think you'll be talking about the weather? I mean, like, it's so hot.
Probably. I mean, if you talk to your neighbor at all, it's probably in passing, like, boy, it's hot outside. See you later.
I'm going in now. Yeah, you won't stand outside probably for a long time today and chat, I don't think.
Not quite. Unless you got one of those big trees that offer shade, like you were saying earlier. Go under those and temperature drops like 5 degrees.
Or you have a pool. Or you have your sprinkler out and your neighbor's kids come by and run through the sprinkler with you. Oh, those are fun summer things to do. I saw there's also some interesting new, like, water balloons.
Water balloons?
Water bombs or something like that. I don't know. I was in a big box store and I saw them. They look green and they're long, and I don't know. You can buy like a whole bunch of them or something like that. Anyway, that might be fun today. Water balloons or something like that. Be a good. And today might be the day to try to. Good morning. It's 7:10 here at Moody Radio Quad Cities. And thanks so much for listening in this morning. We're so thankful that you're our radio neighbor here at Moody Radio. Even though we aren't right with you, we feel like we're with you wherever you go.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't get rid of us as long as you tune us in.
I mean, it's like Chris Fabry says. I mean, the backyard fence. So.
So we'd love to hear from you about your neighborhood, where you live, and what you enjoy about living there. Our phone number is 800-221-9356. Also, if you have an interesting way to engage in conversation with your neighbor, we'd love to hear that too. Any special question that you like to start out with when you meet a neighbor, or how do you learn more about your neighbors?
Now, Dave says that when his neighbor comes over, they actually end up talking about art.
Oh,
Which is
neat.
pretty cool.
That is really cool. So they have something in common, maybe finding some common ground there on things that interest both of you. But how do you get that started? What kind of questions do you start off with your neighbor? That might be something we could all grow in. Beyond the weather, as I was mentioning on Facebook Live, that the weather seems to be, a topic of conversation that comes up first. But
I mean, it's easy. Everyone
Yeah.
has to deal with it.
that's
So
right.
it's-
But how do you go beyond that?
Dig a little deeper.
Dig a little deeper. So if you have any suggestions, give us a call, 800-221-9356. Here's We the Kingdom with Holy Water on Moody Radio. So once again, I did it. I pointed forward.
Oh, you did? I missed it. I'm gonna look at the video. All right, I'm watching the video.
Am I there yet?
I'm getting ready to hit the button. Yep, you point to the camera. There we go.
Instead of pointing to you.
And now if you're watching the video, you know how much of a delay
I know.
the
isn't that
on-air
something?
is from the actual live stream.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a lot. This is such a learning process of doing this every day.
Well, it's definitely a lot different having the camera pointed this way. And like, I remember the day I was gone and you and Ken were trying to do the Facebook Live. And, I mean, man, kudos to Ken. He was he was scrambling everywhere, but he doesn't normally run Facebook Live and the board at the same time. And so to get the crash course in Facebook Live, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always new things to learn, that's for sure, when it comes to technology. And by the way, I did hit those 3 little buttons today.
Oh,
So I remembered to do that. I'm just not sure if I did the right thing. Because I hit here, and then it says,
Here, click out of
click out of
that.
it.
Click to the side.
Okay.
Okay. There we go. Now hit that there.
Okay.
And now, actually, you don't need to worry about the volume. So yeah, now you
Oh,
got it.
okay, now I got it. Okay, I just missed that little part of it.
But you were pretty much there.
I was, was getting closer. Well, Heidi says there are some neighbors that are not very pleasant, no matter how hard you try. And boy, that is true. I mean, you can't make people like you, and you can't make people be personable. And the only thing you can do is do your part in any situation. Try to be the best you can be with
Right.
God's help. And yeah, you can't control how other people react.
No, I've tried, and it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, no. I think we've all tried. We've all tried and gone that extra mile, but after a while you just keep doing what you know to do and pray for them. I mean, prayer is one thing that, God can work on people's hearts. And we pray that, that happens, especially if you have a difficult situation with someone in your neighborhood. So what are some things that you talk about, Jeremy, with people you just meet? Or what are some things like in a small group setting are good questions for people to get to know them?
Ooh, you're asking an introvert these questions, huh? That's
Okay. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm thinking of one thing you guys might discuss. Like, what do you discuss as millennials when you get together?
I mean, you might discuss what you're watching, the shows you're watching, or that. Yeah, I guess if you're on social media, maybe there's a webcomic you follow or something, and a joke. But coming back.
All right. And that's We the Kingdom with Holy Water here at Moody Radio Quad Cities. We're talking about being a good neighbor today. And coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we're going to talk with Glenn Stanton about loving your LGBTQ neighbor. And it's a resource that he has out. So we're going to explore loving your neighbor when maybe they live a different lifestyle than you live. And God calls us to love our neighbor. And so as ourselves. So how do we do that? We're going to get some practical advice coming up. But we'd love to know about your neighborhood this morning. You're just waking up, you're looking outside, you say, I love where I live because. Just fill in that blank. I love where I live because. 800-221-9356.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm talking to folks in my small group, I mean, besides, discussing whatever Bible topic we have for the day, I mean, it might involve what we've been watching or stand-up comedy. So maybe there's a comedian with a really funny joke, and I'll share that. I'm in some group chats, and so we'll share just funny things we come across. But as far as like actually starting a conversation, that I am not great at. So,
well, I got some ideas online for
good.
that.
Please share them.
Okay, so
I could really use those.
well, it had to do with neighbors though, moving
okay.
into the neighbors. So, maybe when did you move into the neighborhood? When you're first starting to get to know them? Where else have you lived? That is a kind of good question when you meet someone. Where else have you lived, and what other jobs have you had? Well, one of the questions is, how was it different when you moved in than it is today?
Oh, okay.
Which is another good question in your neighborhood. Maybe the neighborhood's really changed. It's kind of great to hear the stories, especially from people that have been there for a long time and developed relationships. It gives you an understanding of where you live and the people around you and maybe the culture of those around you. Here's one that I really like. What is your favorite neighborhood walk? Like, where do you like to walk to from here?
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's a really good question because then especially if you like doing those things, walking around your neighborhood, gives you an idea of a new place a new way to go.
Yeah.
I made it to the living room a new way this morning.
Really?
I decided
Wait, how?
in my truck from the bedroom to the living room, I'm like, I'm going to go a different way. Instead of going through the kitchen, I'm going to go through the laundry room. Just, they say these are supposed to keep your brains healthy. These, changing things up.
All right.
Hey, it works. It works. You got to add some spice to your day somehow.
My dog, I will sometimes do laps around my house because you can. I mean, the way it's situated, you can do that. And so she's a border collie and loves to herd, and so she'll lead me. Like if she sees that I'm in that routine, she's in front of me, guiding me. But what drives her insane is when I decide to change. And so I'll turn around and I'll start going the other way. And next thing I know, she's like, whoa, where'd you go? Hey, get back here. How dare you try to ditch me? And so she's not a fan of changing things up in the house. But.
So Heidi says my church and back is a great walk. And
we are coming back.
All right, let's go back. Good morning. It is a Wednesday morning, right in the middle of the week. And by the way, if you're just waking up, it is going to be a really hot, dangerously hot day. We're going to see heat indexes in the hundreds. So if you can, do your things you need to do outside early today or late this evening, but try to stay inside during.
Stay out of the outside.
That's it. Do not go out in the afternoon. No, unless you have to. Don't stay out for long. And that's one of the things the American Red Cross say is just be sure to stay indoors and avoid strenuous activity in the middle of the afternoon today. Drink plenty of water, and also be careful with your pets because they can easily get these things like heat stroke and heat exhaustion as well.
Well, even their paws. I mean, if they're out on a like hot blacktop or cement, I mean, even their paws can get burnt from the heat.
Yeah, they show give us a few things to look out for, like heavy panting, unable to calm down, brick red gum color, fast pulse rate, and unable to get up. Those are some of the things you're supposed to look at for your animals as they're in distress, and you need to get them to a cool place. And people, if you need to cool down, they say to get inside and cover yourself up with cool water up to your neck and try to get that temperature down if you're feeling distressed because of the heat. But the best thing to do is not to be out in the middle of the day and try to be in a cool place throughout this day. And thinking of places, we're talking about your neighborhood. Got a really cool place to be in your neighborhood? We want to hear about it. 800-221-9356. Here's a great song to remember. No matter what, our God is able and his plans will prevail. He is an unstoppable God. Sanctus Real on Moody Radio.
I'm still over here, Deb.
But I did it
I'm
again.
still over here.
I cannot change. I don't know. I'm pointing to this expendable worker.
It's funny, on Monday when we started out, you're like, hi, everyone, as you're looking at me. So you're pointing to the audience, and you're waving hello to me.
So did you start the music for me? That's what I want to know.
The music is playing.
This is like an exercise in how to confuse an old lady.
Well, you know what? We'll be back to having you and Ken
I
on the
know,
other side of the
normal
system.
Oh my goodness!
And so I was reviewing some of the old mid-morning show coffee breaks the other day, and what I realized is when COVID hit and Ken went back home, before that we had switched you guys. We had Ken sitting across from me, and you where Ken was. But when Ken came back, we went back to the default. I was like, I know we switched them, but which one was the original way that we had them?
We are creatures of habit.
So we'll bring Ken back, and we'll put you guys back where you were last week. And then on Friday, we'll switch you guys back to where you were before COVID. Just to
spice things up.
There we go.
I know. I just said we need to spice things up. Hey, Brenda said she lives on a farmland at the outskirts of the city limit. No neighbors. It's funny that when people do see my house, they think it's brand new. Nope, it's 110 years old. Wow, well, you must keep it up really well that people think it's new. That's neat. Have you ever wanted to live in the country? Well, you kind of live in the country now.
I'm on the outskirts of town.
Yeah, you're definitely closer to the country than I am.
I mean, we've had 2 houses built in our area since we moved there. So
Really?
Yeah.
Farther down the road or across?
There was one across. So you've been near my house.
Yeah.
There's a house along the creek that has a in-ground pool.
Oh,
That
nice.
came after us. And then there's also some neighbors on the same side of the street from us, but closer to the main road. That is a recent build too. So like if you're coming down the road, you know how after you turn, we're like the third house. That middle house is also a newer one.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I mean, you show up and you think, hey, I've got wide open spaces, and then people start selling plots of land, and your view across the street starts to fill up. And
Yeah, so you're kind of a changing neighborhood where you're at then a little bit.
It is.
It's filling in. And I've always wanted to live in the country, but I do like being close to stuff too. So that's that's kind of the tension there, is that I like the country feel, but I don't want to have to go miles to get groceries that I forget. So
that's my brother. He moved out a couple of years ago, and so like we grew up in LeClaire, and then we moved to the outskirts of LeClaire, And when he moved out, he went into Davenport,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just like, this is amazing. It's not a 20-minute drive to
Yeah.
go to the grocery store. I just, I need some eggs. Boom, boom.
I
I
got him.
got them. And it's a walk. I don't even have to drive. And so he is really a big fan of that convenience factor.
So, how about you? We're talking about your neighbors and neighborhoods and how to be a good neighbor this morning. We're going to talk with Glenn Statton about that coming up in just a few minutes as well. But we want to hear from you. You can give us a call at 800-221-9356 or text us what you love about your neighborhood, what you're seeing this morning, that you're just so thankful you're living where you're at. We'd love to hear that this morning as we talk about being a good neighbor. And even if you have some suggestions, like Patrick earlier gave us some suggestions on some things that he did to be a good neighbor. But so maybe you have something this morning you want to share. 800-221-9356. And thanks so much for joining with us for another day, starting our morning, starting our Wednesday at the mid-morning show coffee break. And Ken will be back tomorrow, but have a safe day. Have a safe today. Take care today, and God bless you.
Yep. And one last shout out to my mom, whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday, Charla.